Hi guys, hope you're keeping well. Looking forward to the end of this lockdown as such. I finally built my LA, my Toyan 4-cylinder L400 engine at last. It was fairly straightforward. I did have one problem with one of the rocker shafts. It looked like it had been ground up to the end, and there was like a radius in it, like the grinding wheel was had like a radius on it, and I couldn't get the rocker onto the rocker shaft far enough to put the E-clip in it. So I had to put it on my lathe and just sort of get the corner out of it so I could push the rocker up far enough to get it on. So that was a problem. Instructions are a little bit kind of sketchy. You sort of download them. There's only pictures, and they've amended a few little bits and pieces that sort of was a bit difficult. But overall, it went okay. It's also possible to have the valve timing round 180 degrees out, which I did. It can go, the pulley on the cam can go in both ways. You can have it, put it on the wrong way round, have it 180 degrees out. But I sort of had a word with Dennis Dempsey, and he said to me, on the end of the cam, there is a tiny little mark, which I can see now, and I did have it round the wrong way. So if anyone else builds one of these engines, check the cam has got a little mark on it, and that's got to line up with the mark on the pulley and the mark on the crankshaft. So thanks to Dennis. So this is kind of what I'm creating at the moment. This is a new bright body, swamp dog, or how you want to pronounce it. I believe it's probably around about 7th scale, which I think is kind of ideal for this engine. It's like I've said to you before, I don't think it's a 5th scale engine. The body's kind of just laying on there at the moment. I've had a lot of trouble getting it down low because there's quite a deep, like scale light sort of bed in there. Obviously, these wheels are only on there temporary while I sort it out and get the wheelbase correct. I'm trying to make this model quite simple. I've got some bigger diameter wheels coming, black ones, so it should be better on the arches. The body itself is quite thin plastic. It's not marvellous, but it's very hard to find a 7th or 6th sort of shell to put on this sort of build, the 4-cylinder engine. It's going to be difficult as well when I cut the body out, because the scuttle panel is part of the windscreen, so I'm not going to have anything to sort of put the hinges on, which is going to be a bit of a pain. So I don't know what I'm going to do there, but anyway, I'll show you what's underneath. This is where we got so far. I'll just turn this round. So you can sort of see where I am at the moment. It's kind of like a work in progress sort of test bed, really, rather than sort of run it on a bench. I'm building this up as we go along using quite a few Kyosho bits and pieces. Now, these diffs on here, I think I said to you I was using the Mad Force parts. These worked out quite well, really, because you can cut them like I did here. I think it's about 30mm you cut off of here, because they were sort of longer one side than the other. But if you cut that much off, it actually equals out. So you don't have to do anything to this side. So you just cut that off and then push that bit in, re-drill the mounting holes, and you can use standard dog bones. Well, I've got actually UJs in the front. So we've got UJs in the front here, and the standard MP7 or Kosho, Inferno, whatever you sort of want to use. And it works out the same for the rear as well. So you know, it was quite easy making up these diffs. So you've got a sort of bulletproof kind of Inferno diffs on it. You've got just dog bones in the back and the hubs. I've got UJs in the front, and this is all Mad Force kind of bits and pieces. I did have some laying around, but what I've actually done to the chassis now, these rods here, when this is a Mad Force truck, this sits right up in the air like here, and this, what do you call it, swivel joint here is back there. So I think I've had to move it 45mm forward to get the correct wheelbase for the truck. So shortening the axles down has given me a nice scale fit for the body, and working out the length of it as well has kind of worked out, you know, fairly good. I did sort of lower the engine down 10mm because I had the engine a little bit higher, and I'm not looking for loads of suspension travel, you know, I mean, that's enough for me. So I managed to lower the engine down, which also enabled me to lower down the gearbox. Now this gearbox is, as usual, a Revo. Fantastic bits of kit they are, and I think they can sort of handle anything you throw at them. If I want to change the spur gears on this, I can move it backwards and forwards. I can change the gear on there. But the good thing is, all this is dead in line. So the axles are dead straight in the middle of the car. The engine's in the middle of the car. The gearbox is in the middle. So everything has got a nice straight drive through. The little problem I've got is where I've lowered the engine a bit. As you can see here, on full suspension, it rubs on this flywheel, but I always lighten the flywheels anyway, so this is going to be turned down, or I'm going to fit an alley one. I've got the brake in here. I've got plenty of room really to put all my stuff in. I've only built temp scales, you know, and this is kind of a lot of room. I'm probably going to have to bring off here a framework for the body to sit on, you know. I think if I just mount it on here, it's going to be rocking around and it's going to be a bit sort of flimsy. So that's where we've got at the moment. The body actually sort of comes down like this, so I've had to lower the radiator down, but I still think it's going to be okay. I don't know how to plumb up the radiator yet. I've got no instructions for that, so I'll have to ask around. The shocks are off a car that I bought many years ago. It was like an 8-scale buggy. It didn't even have a maker's name on it, so I don't really know, you know, what the car was, but it was like a copy of, I mean, the actual wheels had come off it. So it didn't have a maker's name on it, and I got it really cheap, and it was so bad I didn't do anything with it. So I just threw it in a cupboard, and I've left it for years and years and years. But I've managed to use a couple of donor bits off it. I've managed to buy some dog bones and UJs for it, but the shocks have kind of worked out quite well. I've had to lean the rear ones forward because of the body. Like I said to you, the truck body is scale-like, so it comes down. But you could run some big wheels in that. You know, you could move these over. You've got so much room in that body shell. You could run something really fat in there. So that's all work in progress. I had to lower the plate down because normally this Mad Force had a 3-speed gearbox. The engine sits here. I mean, it's actually back to front, the chassis, what I've got on it, which it kind of fitted in there better. I made my own prop shaft. The prop shaft itself, this is a Traxxas drive shaft. I think that was out of a Revo as well, but I managed to get it apart. So I've got like a female one which goes into the gearbox, and I made a prop shaft, and I milled on 2 flats on it. So I had 2 females. By taking these apart and making one sort of UJ out of 2 Traxxas Revo drive shafts. So then I turned up my own prop shaft and milled it to go in there. So we've got a screw goes through there. I turned the ball on the end here, so we've got the ball and I made a hardened pin. So I've hardened all this, so the ball with the pin and everything's all hardened, so that should be bulletproof as well. And the other thing as well is that this car's gone through a lot of changes from when it first came out. They did the Mad Force, the Cruiser, lots of different Mad Crusher and all that, but they used to come out with these sort of straight little bushings that went in there. I don't know if you can see these little bushings, and they used to just have a bit of a sort of like a beer barrel shape to them to allow these to sort of move around. But on the later cars, I think it was the Crusher, they've actually got like a ball in there, so it's got actually a ball joint in there, so these can kind of rock around quite nice. So it's given a lot more movement on there. So instead of bending the plastic, it's actually moving on these. I think they're 8mm diameter balls in there, front and back. So I bought those, and it's made that quite nice. So, you know, it's got quite a lot of suspension movement on the back of it. Front, obviously, it's got to be fairly stiff because we've got quite a lot of weight on that engine, but I'm still really pleased at the moment because it's a light car for what it is, and I've got space to put the servos. Obviously, I could put the servos on the outside, or I could put them on the inside. They've sent me the igniter, so this is the 4-into-1 igniter. You know, I've just tried it and it all glows up and that, but these things here are very weak. The caps that go on the top of the plugs, they're all sort of loose, are very awkward to get on and they're awkward to get off. I might see if I can change those. I mean, the ones on my other trucks, they kind of slowly died a death because you can't, you've got to try and hold that and put them on because it tries to pull the whole thing down, and you know, a couple of times you think, oh, we've got it on there, but it isn't. So that's, I've got to sort that out. But you know, we'll see how that goes. This obviously is all going to be thinned down. I'm going to machine all that out. The engine mountings I've got are 10mm diameter aluminium. I've machined them to length, and I've got the 4mm screws going to there, and it's fairly solid. It's like a bit of a you know, the engine and the gearbox is a stress member. Obviously, I might put a bit more to stop it twisting, but it's pretty solid at the moment. So I've got to sort out the drive shaft. I had to cut and shut the drive shaft there, and I'm going to braze that, silver solder it. So at the moment, it's kind of not gone bad. I'm gonna, if it looks alright, I'm gonna have all these bits anodised black, so the whole thing will be black. And I'm going to put another in here. I'm going to put another alley piece, so this carries on into there, and bolt it from there into there. This has got a step on it, so when you do these screws up, it locks on that, so it keeps it, you know, from moving. So the carburetors, when you actually build the carbs for this engine, to get this round, it's best to take your time on them because they're ever so awkward to get working smoothly. You know, it's best not to do these screws up too tight that goes through here. I'm probably going to put this underneath because it gives you more room, because the body is quite close to this and it's just touching on top of the rad. So I may even have to lower the rad a little bit more. But like I say, this is going to be machined out and lightened. I'm going to put more holes in here to move the suspension around so I can change it. The same with the back of it. It works really nice actually, but I'm going to just put some extra holes in here so I can have a little play and see how it handles. The steering is going to be kind of almost stock Mad Force, which I'm going to have to it used to come up from the Mad Force, used to come up here to a servo saver, and it used to come from a servo under here up to a servo saver and back to that. But I'm probably going to do a different way. I think I can get a servo in the front there and run it straight off of that. you know, get a good servo in there. The good thing with the body as well is, if I show you, the grill, you can see the grill is all cut away, so it's completely, you know, like a real car. So it's going to get some good airflow of that engine, plus it's water cooled. But the problem I've got, as you can see here, that this is part of the windscreen. So when I cut this body out, I'm going to have nothing, cut the bonnet out, I'm going to have nothing to actually secure the hinges. I can't, you know, this is so thin, I can't actually secure the hinges to that. The body is, you know, really thin anyway. I mean, it's only a new bright toy. So I don't know what I'm going to have to do here. I'm going to have to cut the window, and I'm going to have to try and sort of somehow reinforce all this around here so I can make the hinges come off of there. So, you know, that's going to be a little bit awkward. I might actually fit these runners. I may fit these runners onto the actual chassis of the car, or the framework. And so there's actually screw holes in there, but you know, this is all very sort of flimsy. If I can get that solid on the side of the car, I think it'd probably be better than mounting it, you know, like that. It's got lights, you know, we've got lights on it that I can hook up. I don't know whether the guy actually sprayed the mud on here himself or whether they come like it, I don't know, but it's actually got light buckets in the front, so, you know, I'm not a fan of the mud. Some people like it, but I'm not a fan of that. But whether I can get that off and pay someone loads of money again to paint it, I don't know, but it's not a bad looking shell. Windscreen's got a crack in it, which I might have to look into, but this bit here is going to be very awkward. I've got to try and make this sort of, this part here has got to be left on the car, and the windscreen's got to be separate. I don't think I'm going to leave the roof bar on with the lights, but you never know. But yeah, I got it at a good price. I got one mirror missing, which hopefully I can make something. But like I say, I'm not used to having so much room in a car. You know, I've got space to put a nice big battery. Probably going to run this helicopter fuel tank. It's probably going to be in the back there somewhere, like that, if I can fit that. It's normally pushed in on some clips, but it's probably going to be like that. It could be a bit further forward like that. And then I could put the, where are you? I could put the battery further back, because I've got plenty of room there, look, to get everything in. So yeah, build's going well. I've got a 2-shoe clutch in there. It's a Campachuni PTF. Normally they use a 3-shoe in a Campachuni car, but I've actually built this clutch up using 2 shoes, and it's got the hair clip springs that go onto the centre shaft, the pilot shaft, which I made myself. So I'm not sure whether it's going to work. We'll have to see. But obviously they're getting quite close now, you know, to getting this set up. I've only really got to put the servos in, find out how to set up the water cooling, and going from there. And as I was saying about the carburetors, it's quite a lot of work. You've got to build all these carbs, you know, from scratch. And it's very hard to get them to move free, because they can move where they're mounted. So you've got to try and get them mounted all nice and square the same. And also on mine, where you've got these idle screws here, where they go into the slot in the carburetor, where they've been ground, the actual barrel of the carb, it's really got a sharp edge on it, and the pins kind of bind on it. And I had one of them that just got tighter and tighter, and I took it all apart, and it was scoring up the actual inside of the carburetor. So what I did with the barrels, I've got like a little needle file. When I just took the edge off them all, where the little slot is, where the screw goes in, then I give them a little polish on the lathe, and I've got them all to work. They're working reasonably well. They're smooth, but you have to be very careful, because once the alley picks up, you know, you can be in trouble. I've got a fuel rail that I'm going to actually bolt to the side here that's going to go in here. I'm probably going to take a bit more out of here for a bit of clearance for these. It's quite close to this shock, so I can do something with that. The water pipes, I think, from here, you've got the water pump in the front there that's driven by the cam belt. So you've got like a little impeller in there. You've got 2 gears inside there that spin, that works the water pump. I've got a header tank somewhere, which is going to go in. I can't find it now, but I've got a header tank. Well, that can sort of go on the side here somewhere. You know, I've got lots of options. I might even put a cage inside it. You know, I mean, the Mad Force had like a hoop that come up. I mean, this is a front bumper which I put on the back, the same as this one, just to kind of finish it off. But the suspension's, you know, it's pretty dead when you drop it. So that's how far I've got with that one. Now, I've been having a lot of trouble with the Toyan Twin. I don't know if you know, I've got the white truck. It's a Tamiya, proper Tamiya truck, and I've got quite a complicated gearbox on it. But I just could not get the engine to run properly. It was, you know, I've been like, since I pull it in, it's never ever run as nice. I've seen other guys on YouTube, and their cars that sound great. Johnny Q's just done a saloon car, and the engine sounds sweet, but mine was misfiring, and it was rich, and you couldn't tune it and everything. So I was out of it yesterday trying to run it, and I couldn't get it to run. Really struggling with it. So I had a look at it today, and I found out that the valve timing was one notch out on the pulley. How that moved like that, I don't know. Whether it was, you know, made like that from the factory, but I'm sure I checked it. The only other thing was once I run it without the body on, and when the brakes were too sharp, it did like an end over end, and whether that kind of made the belt move, I don't know. But anyway, I put the timing marks where I think they should go. And cool, what a difference. I mean, I've run it today just around the garden, and oh, it's sweet. What a difference. I've been messing about for months and months trying to get that thing to run. And I've also made like 2 separate fuel lines. So instead of having like one pipe from the tank and into the, like a mixer, you know, 2 into 1 pipe, I've changed that as well. So I might chuffed with that. I think that's going to go well. I can actually tune the motor now. Before, it was kind of revving and just had like a misfire, and no matter what you did, you know, and it would sort of run, and then you think you've got it there, and then it wouldn't, and it's get hot and everything. And when I see that this morning, just one tooth out, I thought, well, maybe that is it, and I put it back how I think it is, and it's running. It's really powerful, and you know, you can tune the needles, and it makes a difference. Whereas before, it was just pouring fuel out the exhaust, and I couldn't do much with it. So anyway, hopefully that's sorted. So this is where we are now, guys. I'm hoping in the next one I can get this running. I'm itching to give it a run. I can run the throttle servo up there like my other ones. That's kind of the easy bit. I'm running the starter. It's a 12-volt starter motor, and it's a brush one. But I'm going to run it off a relay. So I'm going to get a switch to operate the relay. I won't be using a speed controller like the brushless ones. So I'll be using that. And I'm probably going to use a relay as well to use the igniters. I don't know what voltage the igniters run on. They're normally 7.2. I'll have to have a word with Toyan and see what I need to run them. I mean, some people just run them on 11 volts, but I still think that's a bit much. I mean, I just sort of lit it up with a 7.4 LiPo, and they were fairly bright, so I don't think I'd dare go any more. So I might have a separate little battery, but you know, hey, I've got lots of room in this. You know, it's not like the truck where you pack everything in and try and find little bits of space. So anyway, guys, I'm signing out now. Hope you like what I'm doing. Subscribe if you want to, or you know, whatever you want to do, and don't miss the videos. This is going quite well, and I hope to get up and running in the next one. So see you later, guys.